Lesson 6, Factors and Divisibility. Now I'm going to try and go through this decently fast because, again, I believe we did a lot of this in 7-6, and so this should be review unless you're new to Saxon and you haven't talked about factors and divisibility, but I would be surprised. I believe all math programs would probably have addressed this by now. Now I did have the warm-up. If there are 12 glubs in a lorn and 4 lorns in a dart, and how many glubs are in half a dart? Now I'm going to go ahead and leave that for you to go play with. This was just a warm-up. I don't want to waste time on your precious video time. So go ahead and try that on your own and check your answer in the back or in your solutions manual. So we can jump ahead and talk about what factors are. The factors of a number, let's say I had 3 times 5 equals 15. 3 and 5 are the factors. Now I believe we just went through all that in the first few lessons where we reviewed all of the definitions. So like factor, product, okay? So the nice way to put it is the factors of a number are the whole numbers, meaning not fractions or decimals, the whole numbers that, sorry, I gotta get my arm around here, that divide the number without a remainder. Meaning 15 divided by 3 is 5, so there was no remainder. 25 divided by 5 is 5, so 5 would be a factor. Let's put this into practice. Example 1, list the whole numbers that are factors of 12. Now the number 1 is a special number. It is a factor of everybody. So we have 1 goes into 12, and 2 is a factor of 12 because 2 times 6. 3 is a factor of 12. 4 is a factor of 12. 6 and 12 itself. Now the way I like to do these is I like to work myself up to, by the time we know the middle happens when the two terms multiply to make the number you were finding the factors of. So 3 times 4 is 12. That means each of these afterward will be pairs. That's a good way to make sure you've got all your factors. List the factors of 51. Now 51 has 4 factors, and I just now realized that because I peeked in the book. I was about to say that it was only 1 in itself, but I forgot of the divisibility rule, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The factors of 51 are 1, and then because 5 plus 1 is 6, I know that 3 goes into this number. So 3 is a factor, and then if we did 51 divided by 3, which I'm not afraid to do off to the side ever, you can't see it because it fell off my screen, but when I do that I get 17 and 51. Those are the factors of 51. What is the greatest common factor of 12 and 51? Well, we just listed our factors of 12 and our factors of 51. The greatest common factor would be the biggest number that goes into both of those. And I'm looking and I see that 3 is the only, 1 and 3 are the only common factors. So 3 is the greatest common factor between the two of them. Okay, let's go on and do the same trick for the greatest common factors of 18 and 30. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write 18, and I'm going to write the factors of 18. Now again, I like to go, okay, 1 goes in there, 2 goes in there, 3 goes in there, 4 does not, 5 does not, 6 does, and 3 times 6 is 18. So now I can just go, okay, 2 times 9, and 1 times 18. Those are my factors of 18. My factors of 30 are 1, 2, 3 Does 4 go into 30? It does not. It goes into 28. So, but I do know 5 goes into 30. 6 goes into 30. All right, so 5 times 6 is 30. So now I can find the pair for number 3. 3 and 10, 2 and 15, and 1 and 30. There's our factors. Okay, now to finish this problem, they're asking for the greatest common factor. So we're going to look. All right, they both have 1, they both have 2, they both have 3, they both have 6. And beyond that, they don't have anything common. So 6 is the greatest common factor of 18 and 30. Now, when you're adding and subtracting fractions at this point in the game, it would be nice if you could see 18 and 30 and do much of this in your head. Go, okay, what goes into 18? Let's see, 9. But it doesn't go into that, and then we work our way down. 6, oh, 6 goes into both, and so you'd be able to do that in your head. The more math you do, the better you'll get at doing that. All right, which whole numbers? This is now divisibility rules. Now I have a document that I'll put in the folder for this called Divisibility Rules, and those are also on your page 35. It tells you if a number goes into a bigger number, and from 1 to 10. And for example, what numbers go into 9,060? All right, so I'm going to start by looking at, of course, number 1 is a factor, because it is a factor of everybody. Now I'm going to go, okay, is 2 a factor? Well, to see if 2 is a factor, I'm going to look at the last number, 0. Because this is an even number, 2 is a factor of the whole thing. All right, 3. In order to see if 3 is a factor, I'm going to add all the digits. 9 plus 6, I'm going to write that down, is 15. So when I add up n plus 0, the digits, I get 15. Now, because 3 goes into 15, 3 is a divisor or a factor of this whole thing. And now I'm going to go to 4. To know if 4 is a divisor, the last 2 digits need to be divisible by 4. So I look at 60. Does 4 go into 60? It does. It actually 4 times 15, I think of a clock, and take 60 and divide it into 4 groups, and each one is 15 minutes. So 4 is a factor. 5 is a factor because any number that ends in 0 or a 5 is divisible by 5. 6 is a factor if and when both 2 and 3 are factors. Well, in this case, 2 and 3 are in the list, so that means 6 gets to be included. There's no special trick for divisibility, divisible by 7, so you just have to, check it out. I'm not afraid. Look at me. Does 7 go into this? Let's see here. And see, again, I'm not afraid to do things, or I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. Okay, when I do that, I get a remainder. So 7 is not a factor of 9,060. Now, what about 8? 8 works if the last 3 if the last 3 digits is divisible by 8. Now, is 060 divisible by 8? It is not. 60 is not divisible by 8, so 8 doesn't get to play. 9 gets to play if the sum of the digits can be divisible by 9. Now, 15 does not divide by 9, so 9 doesn't get to play. 9 is not included. And 10, if the number ends in 0, 10 is a factor. So you see how we went step by step and checked the divisibility rules. Now I have a nice document that you can print out and keep in your binder that has these rules, and I encourage you to print that out and keep it with your math binder. All right, the next page of this is practice. So I want you to go ahead and do the practice and then check your answers in the solutions manual and fix or redo any mistakes before you move on to the mixed practice. All right, enjoy.